Welcome to Story Never End, the show where we crack open the classics and find out they were quietly writing about us. Today's book nailed a very 2026 thing 200 years ago. The way we swipe through a dating app, glance at one face, one bio, one job title, and decide in 3 seconds whether a person is worth it. And then, 9 times out of 10, we get it dead wrong.
Oof, that one's personal. 3 years on the apps, and honestly, the number of times my first impression was right, I can count it on one hand.
Because a first impression was never the truth. It's a mirror. What you see in it is your own bias staring back. And this book puts both words right on the cover. Pride and Prejudice.
Okay, let me throw out the 2026 version first. Picture 2 people, both objectively a catch. One guy, ultra-high earner, gorgeous, but his bio reads like a tax form, and at the first meetup, he's stone-faced and barely speaks. One woman, sharp, witty, fiercely independent, and she clocks him in one glance as rich and arrogant.
Sounds like those two are never ending up together.
On the surface, never. Hold on to that, because it's going to flip hard. And what flips isn't the plot, it's the way both of them see the world.
So let's start from the top. The book is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, published in 1813, and it opens with the single most famous line in the English novel. She writes, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife."
Any rich single man must be in need of a wife. That's a universally acknowledged truth. Okay, that's dripping with sarcasm.
And you have to hear the irony. On the surface, Austen's saying rich men want wives. Underneath, she's laughing. It's the families with daughters who decide that, who treat the man as the rightful property of one of their daughters. There isn't a single sincere word in that sentence.
That's literally the 2026 algorithm. A high-value profile pops up, and instantly 100 people project he must be looking for a partner and file him as a target to win. We're not meeting a person, we're claiming an asset.
Exactly. The setting is a country corner of England called Longbourn, the Bennet family. The key fact, 5 daughters, no sons.
Does the no sons thing matter?
Massively. Back then, the estate could only pass to a male heir. The moment Mr. Bennet dies, the house and the land go to a distant male cousin, and the 5 daughters get nothing, out on the street. So for Mrs. Bennet, marrying the girls off isn't romance, it's survival.
Oh, that one fact changes the whole flavor of the book. Marriage in that era was basically a survival game for women. No income, can't work, can't inherit. The only way out is to marry a man who can keep you alive.
And the book pushes that reality to the extreme through Elizabeth's best friend, Charlotte. A pompous, foolish clergyman named Mr. Collins proposes to Elizabeth first, gets refused, and within 3 days turns around and proposes to Charlotte. She says yes on the spot.
3 days? Does she love him?
Not even slightly. Charlotte coolly says she's not romantic. She just wants a comfortable home. For a 27-year-old woman with no money, edging toward old maid, Collins is a safe, lifelong meal ticket.
That's so real and so bleak. Charlotte isn't dumb. She's clear-eyed about the system. In that world, love is a luxury. Being able to feed yourself is the necessity. In 2026 terms, that's just dating practically. Match the criteria, financial stability, feelings can grow later. We trash gold diggers out loud, but in our hearts, we all get Charlotte's math.
And Austen is clever. She doesn't condemn Charlotte. She lets Elizabeth chase love and Charlotte choose bread, lays the 2 paths side by side, and asks you, under survival pressure, who exactly are you in a position to mock?
Right, that's the mature view. The ideal is beautiful, but not everyone has Elizabeth's nerve to say, I'd rather not marry than settle. And that nerve always comes down to whether you've got a fallback.
Right. So when the nearby estate of Netherfield gets rented by a single man worth $5,000 a year, Mr. Bingley, the whole neighborhood loses its mind. And Bingley brings a friend, worth $10,000 a year, even richer, even grander, Mr. Darcy.
The $10,000 a year golden bachelor enters the chat.
At a ball, Bingley quickly hits it off with the eldest Bennet daughter, Jane. Gentle, beautiful, instant spark. But Darcy, stone-faced the whole night, ignores everyone, decides these country people are beneath him. Bingley nudges him to ask the second daughter, Elizabeth, to dance. Darcy glances at her and says coldly, "She is tolerable, but not handsome enough to tempt me."
She's tolerable, but not pretty enough to tempt me. Oh my God. If that line dropped in 2026, screenshot, repost, pile on. That man is socially dead.
And here's the key part. Elizabeth overhears it. She doesn't cry, doesn't make a scene. She turns it into a joke and tells her friends. But the needle is already in. It's stuck.
And notice, the problem with Darcy's line isn't really is she pretty. It's that he says it publicly, out loud, in front of a crowd.
That detail matters.
It does. The same judgment kept in your head versus broadcast is 10 times more lethal. And in 2026, that's just daily life. How many people hidden behind a handle drop a vicious verdict on a total stranger they've never met? Darcy at least said it in the room, under his own name. We don't even have that tiny bit of courage to own it.
That's the horror of a first impression. One sentence, one moment, and she stamped Darcy in her mind. Arrogant. From that second on, everything he does, she reads through that filter. In psychology, it's confirmation bias, and we do it daily in 2026.
And once that stamp's down, it's almost impossible to peel off. Every ambiguous thing he does afterward, she auto-reads as, "See, I knew he was awful."
And Elizabeth herself says a line that cracks the whole title open. When a friend defends Darcy, saying, with his family and fortune, a little pride is natural, Elizabeth replies, "I could easily forgive his pride if he had not mortified mine."
I could easily forgive his pride if he hadn't wounded mine. Wow, that's honest. So her dislike of Darcy isn't really about his arrogance. It's that he bruised her ego. Her own pride got pricked.
You catch it? That's the title's most devious design. The pride is Darcy's, the prejudice is Elizabeth's, but actually, both of them carry both.
Right, because Elizabeth's prejudice is itself rooted in a kind of pride. She trusts her own read on people way too much. She thinks, I'm so clever, I can see through anyone at a glance. That overconfidence in your own judgment is itself a form of pride. And isn't that so us in 2026? We all think we're great judges of character, that 2 swipes through a bio lets us define a total stranger.
And the book actually plants a definition early on. One character coolly breaks it down. Pride relates more to our opinion of ourselves, vanity to what we would have others think of us.
Pride is more about how we see ourselves. Vanity is about how we want others to see us. Oh, that's a clean cut. So pride is internal. I think I'm great. Vanity is external. I need others to think I'm great.
Hold on to that distinction. It's the key to every flip coming.
Let me hit pause. Darcy's tolerable but not handsome enough. In today's terms, that's the left swipe, full stop. A face for a fraction of a second before you've touched her personality, her voice, how funny she is, and she's out.
And Elizabeth's comeback is to left swipe Darcy right back. 2 people swiping left on each other.
So the book's sharpest idea lands here. When both people treat the first impression as the verdict, what's between them isn't incompatibility. It's 2 walls, one called pride, one called prejudice. And tearing those walls down is what this whole book is about.
Now the story throws in a key player, Wickham, a young, handsome officer, charming as anything, and Elizabeth is instantly drawn to him. And Wickham volunteers a story. He grew up alongside Darcy. Darcy's father meant to leave him money and a position, and Darcy, petty, jealous, snatched it all away, leaving him to scrape by in the army.
Oh, I know this plot. A good-looking, smooth-talking guy proactively spills the tea to you about how awful another person is, a person you already disliked.
Elizabeth believes him, and she believes it with delight.
Of course she does, because Wickham's story perfectly matches the version she already wanted to believe. Darcy is a bad guy. What's that called in 2026? Feeding you what you want to see. The algorithm's whole trick. It never challenges you. It just keeps serving you the conclusion you already hold until you're more and more certain you were right.
So Elizabeth's prejudice goes from a wall to a fortress. Now she doesn't just think Darcy's arrogant. She's convinced he's a morally bankrupt villain.
And that's exactly how each of our echo chambers gets built, brick by brick. You dislike a person, a position, and the algorithm pumps you content that proves you're right. You think you're seeing clearer, you're just sinking deeper.
And notice the timing Wickham picks. He shows up after Elizabeth already dislikes Darcy.
Right, that's the masterstroke of manipulation. He's not persuading a neutral person, he's lighting a fire someone already stacked the wood for. The people easiest to fool with misinformation were never the ignorant ones. It's the ones who already have a side. Because they're not taking in information, they're hunting for ammunition. Half the "see I told you so" stuff we forward in group chats in 2026 got lit exactly this way.
Here, the story hits its first big explosion. Darcy, without even realizing it, has been pulled in by Elizabeth's wit and spark. The harder he fights it, the worse it gets. Finally, during a visit, he blurts out a confession and a proposal.
The stone-faced man is confessing his love?
But the way he proposes is the biggest disaster in the book. His opening line, "In vain have I struggled. It will not do. My feelings will not be repressed."
I've struggled in vain. It won't do. My feelings can't be repressed. Uh-oh, that opening.
Then he confesses how much he admires and loves her. "You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you."
You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. That sounds romantic, though.
Romantic my foot. Because in the same breath, he honestly tells her he's painfully aware her family is low, her relatives are embarrassing, the match is beneath him, and he's loving her against his own better judgment and his family's expectations. He proposes and insults her social standing simultaneously.
So he's basically saying, someone as superior as me accidentally fell for someone as low as you. You should be weeping with gratitude? That's not a confession, that's an insult.
Elizabeth detonates. She doesn't just refuse. She fires back every grievance she's stored up. She accuses him of breaking up her sister Jane and Bingley.
Your arrogance, your conceit, and your selfish disdain for the feelings of others.
And then the verdict. He is the last man in the world whom I could ever be prevailed on to marry.
The last man in the world I could ever be persuaded to marry. Whew, demolished.
They part on the worst possible terms. Pride slams into prejudice, full-scale war.
But look, that proposal scene is a perfect snapshot of two kinds of 2026 people. Darcy is a type we've got plenty of now. High-achieving, brilliant, emotional intelligence in the negative. He thinks, I'm so impressive, laying my love at your feet is a gift, with zero read on how the other person feels. You'll find a lot of these in tech and finance. Gorgeous resume, dates like he's running due diligence, and still expects you to be grateful.
And Elizabeth's side?
Her refusal is iconic, sure, but half the reasons she gives are wrong. The Wickham part is a lie. She's passing judgment, righteously, on bad intel. And that's so 2026 too. We grab an unverified expose, a screenshot, a 5-slide explainer, and we sentence a stranger with total moral conviction. We think we're delivering justice. We're just spreading misinformation.
Right, so the scene is two blind spots colliding at once. One person too arrogant to see others, one too prejudiced to see the truth.
And the real turn starts right here.
The day after the rejection, Darcy doesn't rage out. He does something crucial. He writes Elizabeth a long letter. And in it, he doesn't make excuses. He comes clean. On Jane and Bingley, he admits he did interfere, but explains he genuinely believed Jane felt nothing for Bingley and was protecting his friend. And on Wickham,
here it comes. The truth about Wickham.
Darcy lays it all out. Wickham was never the victim. He was a reckless spendthrift with rotten character. He cashed out the position Darcy's father left him and blew the money, then came back demanding more. Worse, Wickham once tried to lure Darcy's sister Georgiana, 15 years old at the time, into eloping, purely for her £30,000 fortune.
Wait, so the handsome, charming, hard-done-by officer is the actual creep?
Elizabeth refuses to believe it at first, but she reads the letter again and again, and the colder she gets. Every detail lines up. Every red flag she'd ignored suddenly lights up. And then she says the line at the heart of the whole book.
Which line?
She says, "But vanity, not love, has been my folly. Till this moment, I never knew myself."
It was vanity, not love, that was my folly. Until this moment, I never truly knew myself. Oh, that one's heavy.
Do you see how seismic that moment is? Elizabeth always believed she was the best judge of character in the book. She took pride in her discernment, and she discovers her hatred of Darcy, her crush on Wickham, All of it was built on vanity. Wickham flattered her, Darcy slighted her, so she favored one and loathed the other. The insight she was so proud of was being yanked around by her own ego.
That moment of self-recognition, that's the real climax of the book. Not who falls for whom. It's a person finally seeing their own blind spot. Until this moment, I never knew myself. In 2026, that line should be engraved on the back of every phone.
How so?
Because that's exactly the ability we're missing most right now. We're so practiced at judging others. Pile-ons, doxing, slapping on labels, hitting block. But we almost never turn around and ask, wait, could I be the one who's wrong? Am I just believing what I want to believe? Elizabeth pivots from, I'm definitely right, to, until this moment, I never knew myself. 90% of the 2026 internet cannot make that turn.
And notice, Darcy is changing in parallel. Getting rejected doesn't make him quit being a better man. After being called selfish and disdainful of others' feelings, he actually goes and reflects.
So what's truly romantic about this book isn't lovers finally unite. It's two proud people who, because of each other, become willing to tear down their own walls. Darcy drops the pride and learns to care how others feel. Elizabeth drops the prejudice and learns to admit she can be wrong. They don't change each other. They each change themselves.
Then fate hands Darcy a chance to prove himself, and the book's biggest crisis, the Lydia elopement.
Who's Lydia?
The youngest, silliest Bennet sister, 15, 16, forever chasing officers, and she runs off with Wickham. Yes, that Wickham. They bolt to London, unmarried, living together.
Oh, in that era.
It's a catastrophe. Back then, an unmarried daughter running off disgraced the entire family. All 5 daughters, finished. No respectable family would ever connect with the Bennets again. Jane and Bingley, gone. Elizabeth herself, gone. The whole family's reputation collapses overnight.
Oh, I get this completely. This is straight up 2026 social death. One person in a family gets caught in a scandal, and the whole line gets canceled by association. The internet age makes it crueler. One piece of dirt, and the entire family gets doxxed, piled on, and it never washes off.
And at the family's most hopeless moment, one person quietly steps in.
Darcy.
Darcy. He tells no one. He goes alone into the seediest parts of London, hunts Wickham down, pulls strings, pays out of his own pocket, clears all of Wickham's gambling debts, hands him a fortune, and forces him to marry Lydia properly, burying the scandal and salvaging the entire Bennet family's name.
And he makes sure no one knows it was him.
Right. He does all of it not for credit, but for Elizabeth, because he knows how much she loves her family. The man who once said, "Your family is beneath me," now personally cleans up the mess of the very family he scorned. No reward, no name attached.
That parallel is brutal. When he proposed, he sneered of her low connections. Now he quietly, in the ugliest possible way, rescues the family he despised. Pride dies completely in that moment. He proves with action, I'm not just saying I changed, I'll show you.
And in 2026, that's especially worth dwelling on.
Yes, because what everyone's great at now is the growth post. Write a paragraph saying, I've reflected, I've learned, and then nothing. What makes Darcy magnetic is that he gives zero explanation. No statement, no fishing for applause. He just quietly does the right thing. Real change is never spoken. It's done. In an age where everyone is performing growth, one unannounced, genuine action outweighs 10,000 apology threats.
Truth can't stay buried. Elizabeth finds out, learns it was Darcy who saved her whole family, and that discovery shatters the last of her defenses. She realizes the man she once called the last I'd ever marry is the only person in the world who understands her, loves her, and will give everything for her.
So, does Darcy dare propose again? After being rejected like that?
He does, but this time, both of them are different. Darcy has dropped his pride, his posture humble. Elizabeth has dropped her prejudice, her eyes clear. Carefully, almost meekly, Darcy speaks again. He says, "My affections and wishes are unchanged, but one word from you will silence me on this subject forever."
My feelings and my wishes haven't changed, but one word from you, and I'll never raise this again. Oh,
Compared to the first proposal, that's a completely different man.
Worlds apart. The first time, I love you against my reason. You should be grateful. The second, my heart hasn't changed, but the decision is entirely yours. One is a gift handed down from on high. The other is a humble surrender.
And this time, Elizabeth says yes. Not because he's rich. She'd already turned down his money. It's because both of them have finally torn down their walls, and for the first time, truly see each other and themselves.
And let me make an unusual case for Darcy's first proposal.
Oh, you're defending the cringe?
Not defending it. The problem with the first proposal wasn't that he didn't love her, it's that he loved too self-centeredly. He genuinely loved her, but the whole confession orbited me, my struggle, my sacrifice, how far I'm stooping. He never once asked, and you, what do you want?
Oh, that's sharp. So the first proposal wasn't loveless, it just had no other person in it. And that's so 2026. How many people date with their whole heart wrapped around how much I gave, how much I sacrificed, never actually understanding the other person as their own human being? Love with only me in it is just another form of pride.
And the second time, Darcy finally put you at the dead center of the sentence. The decision is yours.
That's the real fulfillment of the story. Not a princess marrying a billionaire. Two people who started by misjudging each other each walked a long, painful road of self-knowledge and met again only after the walls came down.
So back to the 2026 question we opened with. Why do we get the first impression wrong 9 times out of 10 on a dating app?
Because a first impression never reflects the other person. It reflects us.
Say more.
Right. Darcy's pride, Elizabeth spotted instantly because she carried pride too. Elizabeth's prejudice was fattened by what she wanted to believe. How many of the people we swipe away just don't fit the script we've already written in our heads? We think we're looking at a person. We're looking at a mirror, reflecting our own labels, our wants, our fears.
And Austen handed us the antidote 200 years ago. The proud must learn to care how others feel. The prejudiced must learn to admit they can be wrong. Only when both sides are willing to let go does the wall between them come down.
What's most precious to me is that line, "Until this moment, I never knew myself." In an age where everyone rushes to define other people, the rarest thing, the one that takes the most courage, is to turn around and define yourself. To admit, I'm biased. Admit I can be wrong. Admit the judgment I'm so proud of might just be ego in disguise.
The person you swiped away might be the one who fits you best. The truth you're dead certain about might just be the version you wanted. Pride blinds us to others. Prejudice blinds us to the truth. And the thing that tears both walls down was never the other person getting better. It's us being willing to admit first that maybe we got it wrong from the very start. That's Pride and Prejudice.
So next time you're about to pass judgment on someone in 3 seconds, pause 1 second and ask yourself, am I seeing this person or am I seeing my own bias?
This is Story Never End, reading yesterday's classics through today's eyes. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.